Okay, so this one we have applied some medium, and what's interesting about crazing medium is you don't see it right away. You think, well, this just looks like glue, nothing really happened to it, but it does. So I'm going to take some of the crayon just to create a highlight. I'm just going to go right around the outer edge, and you can do this with any color, and we can go in and smudge this. Just smudging with our finger. I can add as much medium as I want simply by smudging that, and you can see that I've got that great crazing effect, because you can see those crackles highlighted, and I'll pass this around. You also have the ability to create highlights with your picket fence. So if I wanted to create kind of that oxide effect, I can go right over that brown to create those white highlights, and I don't have to smudge that. And again, you're never going to contaminate the crayon because it's just going to dispense that medium. Now let's say you didn't like something for whatever reason. Maybe you were applying this to a surface. Let me grab this one. This one's dry. Maybe you have some medium on a surface, because this one is done with the matte collage medium. That's going to give you a much longer smudge open time than just untreated paper. It's still smudgeable, but you can see the difference. This is going to give you a much longer play because it's not porous, it's been sealed. So if you use this on gesso or collage medium, you have a lot more open time. But one of the things I like about having a surface that has a medium on it first, let's take some colors. Nice, messy mud. If I have color on there, I can also go in with a stencil. This one's just the matte collage medium. So I didn't want any texture on there, didn't want any crazing or any pattern. I just wanted something, and that's just using the brush. So it kind of gives you that kind of scratch effect. So you can also create a linen if you take the brush and do a crosshatch. But because you have that medium on there, if you take any pattern you want, we'll take something pretty small. Let's do this guy. This is going to already be dry, so it's not going to keep wiping off or smudging, but it is water reactive. So you can take a baby wipe, you can take whatever, and you can go through that to create an effect. Simple. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah, that's really nice. It gives you a great effect right from the start. So you don't, I don't know, it's just this crazy different medium. But here's one of my favorite things, because you know me, when I create something new, I'm never going to forget what I love the most. And that would be ink, right? So even though we have cool mediums where you're like, oh, I've got water reactive pigments, I can do all of that. Well, it still needs to do something great with your distress ink, because that's what we have. So I'm just gonna dry this to make sure there's no water on here. These are water reactive. And if I go in with a blending tool, pick up a little bit of foam, I can do this with distress ink, distress stain, distress paint, distress any ink. If I go over the top, any place that is very heavy is going to immediately resist the color. We see that. But if I go over this with water, even though we said it's water reactive, that layer is not water reactive anymore because it's dry. So unless I smear it out, I am able to resist even where the watercolor is. You'll see that base color come to the surface. It's pretty crazy that when you're coloring on a surface, I was showing some people yesterday, because they're like, well, how reactive is it? Well, let's just take one of the crayons and let's just put it on the paper and let's spray it. You're gonna see that it doesn't react the way ink does. It doesn't wick. You're gonna think, oh, nothing happens. Sure, it'll happen as long as you touch it. So what I like is that it's a stable medium that I can work over the top. May's going, You know, when you use it, she was part of the designer challenge, because when you put it on, you think, oh, I can't get it wet now. It's water reactive. It's distressed. It's gonna go crazy. No, if you wet it, so if you accidentally wet it when you're doing another layer, it's not gonna smear everywhere. It's just when you go and try to touch it, while it's wet, it will move. But once it's dry, you can apply ink over it, stain over it, anything, and even your watercolored area doesn't have to be so thick, will also resist it. So that's what's really cool about distress crayons. 1,000,001 uses. There's gonna be more.